online bans.
What the fuck?
Ever since the left batting Pong was disqualified for saying derogative comments about the other bat's mother, has always been with us in video gaming. Now, don't get me wrong, hiding behind several thousand miles of internet to hurl abuse at someone you'll thankfully never meet in real life is a national pastime for us gamers. And while there's always karmic euphoria in seeing cheaters, team killers and griefers in general getting their just desserts, what if you've done absolutely nothing wrong to get the chop? Playing the game perfectly legitimately, but still got permanently booted. It's rare, but it does happen. So this episode, we take a look at these senseless suspensions, these clueless cancellations, and these dim-witted deplatformings, as I say. But hello you. I'm Guru Larry, and I welcome you to Fact Hunt. 5 completely stupid reasons to be permabanned from online games. Apparently, there are people out there who legitimately enjoy playing Bethesda's most recent entry in their long-running lie-em-up, a franchise that has boasted more broken promises than a room full of Peter Molyneuxs. However, if the mountain of game-breaking glitches in the game wasn't enough to deter you from playing Fallout 76, the fact you could be permabanned for being thrifty with your resources should. Yep. For the simple task of being more conservative with your ammunition can get you kicked off the game forever. The reasoning here was that hackers were breaking into the game's developer's room that was supposed to be inaccessible because it contained the best items in the game. Some players managed to glitch into the room and perform Grand Theft Fallout. Because Bethesda's online servers were so poorly managed, Todd and the gang had no idea who had been cheating and who hadn't. So they just started swinging the banhammer around, taking out hackers as well as people that just found a way to put up with this lackluster title for hours on end. And if that wasn't bad enough, you could also get the boot for trying to fix the graphical glitches that the game launched with. It's been pretty well documented that Fallout 76 came to market with Bethesda's trademarked mountain of bugs that they are known for. So many users took it upon themselves to use fan mods to fix these errors. Todd Howard must have taken this personally, and instead of thanking the modding community for finding ways to fix their incompetence, they rewarded people found to be using graphic mods with permabans. You would have thought that a company that released games as awful as this would be ostracised. But no, Microsoft buys them for $7.5 billion. Hardly money well spent there, lads.
Help!
So, you practice the hell out of a game, learn the mechanics, master the gameplay, and become skillful with the title. EA see how well you're doing, and how do they reward you? With a permaban, of course, because this is EA, and EA are the worst. In October 2016, EA DICE released Battlefield 1 for all major platforms of the time, which was everything apart from the Nintendo Wii U. Anyway, by early 2017, reports started to appear online that some players were being banned from the game, even though they weren't cheating. Players who were doing really well in matches were complaining that after doing particularly well in a game, would soon be greeted by this screen, informing them that they had been disconnected from the server and had received a suspension. But how could this happen? EA had applied an anti-cheat system to Battlefield 1 called Fair Fight that used an algorithm-based analyst to pick up on cheaters and avoid people who were playing fairly. Surely it wasn't just banning people who were scoring higher kill rates than the average player. Well, yes actually, that's exactly what EA's anti-cheat system was doing. The real top tier players were being penalised for being too good at the game by anti-cheat AI. One player by the name of KL Spasmo was one such victim, as he was walking away from matches with kill to death ratios of like 127 to 2. Luckily for KL Spasmo, he was also recording his matches to upload to his YouTube channel, presumably to show off. But he was able to show that he wasn't using any cheats, and that he was just incredibly good at the game. Well, he was good at getting his mate to fly a plane while he sat in the gunner's seat and just shot everyone on the ground anyway. But it must have been quite frustrating for KL Spasmo, who showed on his YouTube videos that he was suspended quite a few times for playing too well. More so if he bought the Ultimate Edition of Battlefield 1, which would have set him back $129 at the time. Oof!
Help!
Fighting games are a tricky beast. The developer has to include around a dozen fighters, all with different movesets and strengths. Then they have to balance each fighter perfectly so they avoid one character being overpowered or even too weak. Even though Vanessa in Virtua Fighter 5 needs a big fat nerf, the big games in this genre do a good job at making this balancing act work. However, every so often there is one character that has a move that gives them a little bit too much of an advantage. Such was the case with Mortal Kombat 11, and one character that had an unblockable move that almost always put them at an advantage, even if it was dodged. That character was Shiva, with her Dragon Stomp move. Shiva would fly up into the air and come stomping down onto the position of the opponent. Such a problem this move was causing within the community that people were even making YouTube guides for each character on how to dodge just this one move. Mortal Kombat 11 developer NetherRealm Studios must have been aware of this overpowered move, and for them it was a rather touchy subject. So, when a player by the name of Titanium Tigers took part in a live streamed Mortal Kombat tournament using Shiva with a custom name that said, "Why did NRS do this?" Well, NetherRealm Studios took this tongue-in-cheek joke very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that they cut the live stream mid-fight and left the presenters the task of explaining what had happened without telling the audience that Titanium Tigers had been disqualified because of his custom character name. All they were allowed to say was that they had a situation and Titanium Tigers' opponent would be going to the next round. So, in the end, we have a player kicked out of a live tournament for highlighting a balancing issue that many players already knew about. And if they didn't know about it already, NetherRealm Studios just magnified the problem by upsetting a live event. Congratulations, NetherRealm! You just played yourselves!
Help!
Red Dead Online, the place where you can fulfill your cowboy fantasies in Rockstar's open-world online Wild West Jamboree. Like Rockstar's other hugely popular title, Grand Theft Auto, the main game has a huge online component strapped to it that invites people to come and join other players from around the world to shoot each other in the face. Also, like GTA, Red Dead Online has seen its fair share of hackers. You might be playing and then all of a sudden run into a group of naked women. And when you take a look, a hacker might spawn a bear in to rip your face off. Remember, no one ever plays a game seriously when they're naked. So if you see players with no clothes, expect shenanigans. In fact, when you do see a hacker, just leave whatever server you're on and join another. Now, naked people, flying people, or even naked flying people are easy to spot. But hackers in Red Dead Online started employing a level of tomfoolery which went from annoying but funny to downright dirty. You see, it's not just naked girls and bears that hackers could spawn into the game. Treasure chests could also be magically brought into existence. Inside a chest will be lots of in-game gold, which is highly valuable. But Rockstar isn't stupid, and when someone takes gold from a spawned chest, they will be tagged as a cheater and banned from the game. Now, it's fair play that cheaters got their just desserts, but the problem here is hackers started spawning chests and then just leaving them on the ground. Then along comes a totally innocent player who just thinks they've had the luckiest day ever because they happen to stumble across one of these rare treasure chests filled with gold. They open it and get banned from the game by Rockstar. And thus begins an epidemic of player griefing. Spawn some chests and watch people get banned. I mean, if Rockstar went to all that effort of being able to tag people that opened illegal chests, surely they could have just tagged the people that were spawning them instead. But no. Rockstar may have been able to recreate the fantasy of being in the 1890s Wild West, but they forgot to remove the diphtheria.
Help!
To be banned from playing online in your favourite video game is not a fun experience. All those hours put into the game flush down the toilet like an expired pet hamster. However, strangely enough, there is a polar opposite to this situation. And that's the feeling of confusion where you get an email telling you've been banned from playing a game that you don't even own. Imagine that. You get home from work one day only to find an email telling you've been permanently ejected from a video game that you don't even have. But this is the situation that one gamer found himself in when he received a message from Ubisoft. Because when a game company does something this dumb, it's almost always Ubisoft. A Reddit user posted a thread on the For Honor forum stating that he had been banned from the game, even though he didn't own it. Now, your first thought would be that someone was using his email address for a Uplay account. Nope. The user did have a Uplay account, but he only had 4 games, and For Honor wasn't one of them. This only makes the banning even stranger, as it's not even a case of stolen identity. It's Ubisoft just being the bunch of incompetent fools people know them for. But then again, what do you expect from a company whose anti-cheat software thinks that software that maps keyboard and mouse functions to a control pad is cheating? Yep, this also happened. In the same game. Some For Honor players were reporting that the game's anti-cheat software was being flagged up by popular button mapping software Xpadder. Xpadder simply maps keyboard keys to the buttons on a controller and the mouse movement to a controller's sticks. Given how common macro key devices are in the PC gaming scene, it just highlights how inept Ubisoft really are when it comes to these sort of things. Although, let's be honest here, this is something most of us already knew. But this is now a lesson learnt by another innocent Reddit user who was banned from the game even though he had just bought the $100 edition of the game. Oof! Well, you live and learn, mates, don't you? You live and learn. Hello you! Thanks ever so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to be first to see future Fact Hunt episodes. Click on the bell if you already are to make sure you're notified, and be sure to check out my other episodes. And if you want to be super awesome, check out my Patreon. But thanks again for watching, and I'll be seeing you next time. Ta-ra for now!